Now we're discussing the other type of probability sampling, that is stratified random sampling. Just to make sure that this topic is easier for you to understand, therefore, you have to understand first this prerequisite. What is the function of sample? The difference of sampling between quantitative and qualitative research, and what is simple random sampling, or how we take the sample if we apply simple random sampling. Our discussion, we are going to answer these questions. What is stratified random sampling? When or why is it used? How is it applied? And what are its types? Are you ready? Let's get started. What is stratified random sampling? In stratified random sampling, the population is divided into strata. Strata means it can be about gender, male or female, about age, income or education level, and so forth. And you want to include the stratum when taking your sample. It means, the population, you divide them first in terms of strata. Once again, strata, that is, or it can be about age, education level, income, and so on. That is the meaning of stratified random sampling. The purpose of doing this, make the sample more homogeneous or more similar. That is homogeneous. Next question. When or why is it used? Once again, you as the researcher, you take the sample by applying stratified random sampling if you want to get a more homogeneous or specific sample. More homogeneous or more specific sample. For example, what is the teacher's point of view of a new applied curriculum, or K13 in Indonesia? So, if this is your research problem or your research question, perhaps in your mind you will have this question: am I going to find the information from all of the teachers all over in Indonesia? All of them? It seems impossible, right? Or perhaps are you going to divide them in terms of age, education level, subjects taught in education or in the school, and so on and so on. So that is the meaning of stratified. You don't take them all, the population, as your sample. Instead of, you divide them in terms of strata. Next, you do this sampling technique if you focus only specific strata from the available population. As the example we have, you want to find the information from the teachers all over in Indonesia about the new applied curriculum. So, by this definition, you focus only to specific. So it can be about the information are based on age, or based on gender, or based on education level. And the next is, you as the researcher, once again, you take the sample by using this method. If you want to intend to establish a relationship between two or more different strata. What does it mean? For example, let's say you divide the teachers, okay, now example, in terms of gender. So you want to differentiate, okay, what is the teacher's opinion, okay, from male, and what is the teacher's opinion from female teachers. So you compare them. That is also another function if you take the sample by stratified random sampling. Next, then how we apply this sampling method? That's so simple. Just follow these steps. The first step is, okay, you have to decide how you want to stratify. It means, back to our example again, all the teachers. So you want to stratify them in what term or in what stratification? Age, gender, education level, or subject thought. Okay, and then make a table representing your strata. To make it easier for you to get the sample, so that is good, first you tabulate them in the table. Then you decide the sample size. Sample size means, say for example, there are 1 million teachers all over in Indonesia, example. Then the question, are you going to take them all? Or you do sampling. It means you only take some of them, let's say only 5,000 from them. So that is the meaning of sample size. How many will be taken from the population to be included as the sample in your research. And the next step is use the stratified sample formula. It means you need to apply this formula to take the sample from the strata. And this is the formula. Sample size of the strata. Size of the entire sample. Size of the entire sample means, okay, how many you want to take from the population. 5,000. Okay, if this 5,000, so the size of the entire sample is 5,000. The population size. How many is the total number of the population? 1 million, 5 million. So that is population. And times layer size. Layer size means, if for example you divide the teacher in terms of gender, so the layer size, that will be male first and female as the second layer. We will see this formula is applied in our example later. And the last step is take the sample randomly. To take the sample randomly, you may use simple random sampling. Let's see this example. So again, what is the teacher's point of view of a new applied curriculum in Indonesia? Say for example, okay, this is just example. The population or the total number of the teachers all over in Indonesia is 1,000. So that is the population size, okay? And then step 1, decide how you want to stratify or divide up your population. Age, gender, schools level, or subject taught in a school. So in this example, let's divide them in terms of age. Okay, that's good. Next, the teacher's age, say, okay, a teacher age, the range age of a teacher in Indonesia is between 20 and 60. So now the next question, because here we have 20 to 60, we have 4, okay? 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, are you going to divide this age directly only 20 to 60? So in this example, okay, let's make it by 10 years. So the range of the age is 10. Then we'll have 20 to 29 first. That is the first range, or the first layer, okay, that you are going to find. And the second, 30 to 39, because we have 10 years as the range of the age. Next, 40 to 49, and the last 50 to 60. So it means now we're going to see how many is, okay, the number of the teacher in the range age of 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and 50 to 60. So that's why in the step number 2, we need to make a table representing the age. So how many is the teacher? In our example, there are 1000. So that is the population number. Now you are going to divide this in terms of the range age 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and so on, as we have made it in the previous. So for example, the teacher's age, okay, the teacher's number whose age are 20 to 29, there are 205. So perhaps in your mind you ask me the question, how do I know that there are 205? That is from the population, because you have got the teachers list all over in Indonesia. So you see, based on your data, you find out that there are 205 of teachers in Indonesia whose age around 20 to 29. That is the meaning of that. And then you continue to the next range, that is 30 to 39. How many? You see, there are 265. What about 40 to 49? There are 285. And the range age between 50 to 60, there are 245. So if you add them, you total them, there are 1000 teachers now. That is the second step. The third step is decide on your sample size. So how many will be our sample from 1000 teachers? That is the meaning of step 3. You decide first how many will be the sample. So in this case, in our example here, let's say we want to take 20% from 1000. So our sample will be 20% from 1000 teacher. Okay. Next, so 20% times 1000, the number of our sample will be 200 teachers. 20% times 1000, that is, it equals to 200. Next, step 4, use the stratified sample formula. Okay, now we're going to find based on the layer. So the formula, as we have had it in the previous, the size of the entire sample divided by population size times layer size. So the size of the entire sample, that is 200, because we want to take 200 samples, while the size of the population is 1000. Then times layer size. Here we have to find 1 per 1. It means by the range of the age. And then by applying this, now we have this. The teachers, the number of the sample that we get from the range age between 20 to 29, there are 41. How do we get this? See the calculation. 200, okay, 1000 times the layer. The number of the layer is 205. Then we get 41. We continue to the next range of 8s, that is 30 to 39. Just following the similar formula, then we get 53. Next, the range 8s between 40 to 49, we get 57. 50 to 60, we get 49. And now the total, as we want to take the sample 200, now we already got it by applying the calculation. Okay, that's simple. Now we continue to the next step, that is apply simple random sampling. Why? Okay, let's make it logic. Yes, by applying this calculation, we have 200, but this is numbers. Okay, this is only numbers. We don't have the names of the teachers yet that want to be included in the research. That's why, okay, we need to follow taking them, okay, their names by applying random sampling. Do you understand what I mean? Once again, let's say 20 to 29. How many will be our sample from that age? 41. So how will you get the 41? That is what I mean. That's why in the first discussion, I asked you to be very clear with what is sample, okay, simple random sampling, and so on. Well, so actually this discussion relating to simple random sampling, we had already discussed it, or I have an uploaded video talking about this. If you, I would say, aren't clear yet with this, find the video, okay, and that will be very simple for you, or easy for you to take the sample later on in your research. Now this is the last question. What are its types? So simple, okay, they are only different with the fraction. Okay, there are two types of stratified random sampling. They are proportionate stratified random sampling and disproportionate stratified random sampling. The difference is in proportionate stratified sampling, that means each strata sample has the same sampling fraction. See this table, or the example that we did first, that is proportionate sampling, stratified sampling, in which, see this one, okay, age, numbers of teachers, all of them, the fraction that we apply to all of these layers is 20%. See that one, 205, 20%, 265, 20%, 20%, and 20%. That is stratified, the same sampling fraction. While disproportionate, each stratum has different sampling fraction. This is the different, the sampling fraction. So just example, okay, just example. Here you are, the numbers of teachers. So from the range age of 20 to 29, we take 20%, while for 30 to 39, we take 10%. Can you see that? 5%, 15%. So the fraction that we apply to the layers is different. That is disproportionate random sampling. Okay? Hopefully our discussion is beneficial and make sure you understand, okay? That's learning. If you haven't, just repeat watching once again, and so on, okay? Our next discussion, or our next topic, that will be about cluster sampling. See you.